Let's get it poppin'.
Good evening, folks. I am Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, a look at Yonkers political corruption, a history of political corruption as we look back at some of the corruption that has taken place here in the city of Yonkers. Take a look at the building department, as well as the office of Inspector General and Shakedowns. That's right, folks. Shakedowns. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, I will be talking about the political corruption in Yonkers, the history of the political corruption here in Yonkers. I will be doing this in parts. Today's part one. And excuse me while I change my TV. YouTube. Pretty cool here. These are the new talking remote controls. There I go. Anyway, I want to start by talking about the corruption in the building department and the history of corruption. And I'll tell you a little story today. I was called by someone, gave me a call, texted me, and they told me a story, something that happened today. It was very upsetting to the person. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But Yonkers is a unique and interesting place. Some of my best memories were created here in Yonkers. And while I've lived here most of my life, I was completely oblivious to the corruption that was taking place in our city government. Since beginning my podcast, I have embraced on a journey that has been educational and shocking at some of the things that have been allowed to take place here in the city of Hills, where nothing is on the level. The mere fact that Yonkers most well-known, that is Yonkers' most well-known tagline is a bit crazy, right? Everyone says that it's the city of Hills where none's on the level. However, I want to be fair to Yonkers. Yonkers is the third largest city in the state of New York, a state that is in the top 3 of political corruption, along with California and Illinois. Yeah, top 3, right? It sits in a county of Westchester, which its budget is as big as the county's budget and is rich history of corruption. As one resident put it, I can't believe this is still happening. The comment was made in reference to a story I will, again, talk about a little bit later tonight in my Shakedown segment of the episode. It involves the building department, the infamous building department that seems to be rotten from the 6th, 7th floor of the dilapidated building all the way down to the lobby. That's right. By the way, is it even legal to check IDs when you go into the building department? Is that legal? Isn't that a racist tactic? At least Democrats seem to think so when it comes to IDs and voting. But at the building department, you will have to show your ID and maybe escorted if you're me, right? It is truly mind-blowing that I would be treated, or any individual would be treated in that manner. They do consider that considering that the true criminals, or they treat you like a criminal, considering that the true criminals are employed by the department. The minute you walk in, you are faced with a former rapper turned city employee who chose the moniker Bully. I wonder why. Maybe we ought to check his ID and escort him around. Mr. Bully sure does justice to his name as he continues his threatening and bullying behavior, witnessed by the first VP of the Yonkers NAACP. But why hire individuals who display criminal-like behavior? Simple. It is a part of the history of the building department, hiring shady and seedy individuals who have put all residents in danger by approving permits or passing inspections that should have otherwise failed. How is it dangerous for tenants? Well, it's also dangerous for firemen. Many have been injured in illegally converted apartments or illegal additions, or even killed. Yeah, firemen have been killed, and tenants, actually. Now, with the new building department commissioner, a man who did not meet the stated requirement for the job, so they just simply changed it. They look to allow illegally converted apartments now and make them legal, and said, why not? It allows, it would create more units, right? That's what their reasoning is for allowing these illegally converted apartments. It will increase the available apartments for people here in the city, right? Illegally apartments, so they can die, right? And why did they hire Sam and lower the requirements? Well, because no sane licensed architect or engineer would take the position and approve some of the things they want approved, right? Because at the end of the day, all they care about is developers getting permits. Let's take a look back at the building department. I want to share an article here with you. This article was in the LoHUD article, and it's the Yonkers IG says building inspector took bribes. The city inspector general released, and this is an old report. It's from 2018, December 31st. The city inspector general released a report Friday describing how one building inspector accepted bribes and another billed the city for fake work hours. Right? Inspector General Brendan McGrath posted his report on the city's website and wrote that he found managerial inefficiencies, haphazard record keeping, and a few instances of ethical lapses. And that's the reason they said they hired Sam Borelli at the building department, because they needed a manager, someone who can, go in there and manage the place, not necessarily a licensed architect, right? So you see that they have a history of accepting bribes. Unfortunately, that has not changed, as you will hear in a minute, right? And that's also my experience. I'll tell you about my experience in a minute with the building department. But earlier today, I was called by a source who was upset because a single mom was shaken down by inspectors at the building department. Yes, folks, I had heard about this $2,500 to $5,000 payment to expedite your permits. Well, a person was doing some work in her business on Saturday. She began the work. By Monday, an inspector was at the business shutting it down. Who called the building inspector? Well, from sources, it was none other than Mr. John Rubo. And once the building inspector got to the place, he informed the individual that you can expedite the permit and get it right away for $2,500. Well, that sounded exactly like the information that I received about a week ago regarding a gentleman by the name of Zehy Jereis, who I've spoken about many times, Mr. A.B.C. He is a man that you can go to if you need your permits expedited. It's $5,000, according to sources, if you have not begun the process. But if you are in the middle of the process, it'll be $2,500. And I know that this is probably true because when I was having my issues with the building department, I was told to go to a particular architect. If I went to him, I might be able to get some help. No, thank you. I don't like to be shaken down. It's not my style. I'd rather go to war, right? Another case for the Inspector General Liam McLaughlin to investigate. Councilman Rubo, but will he ever? Before I answer that, I wanted to discuss the role of the Yonkers Inspector General to understand what exactly is the Yonkers Inspector General's role. I want to take a look at the position itself and when it was created and why. If you don't know, the first Inspector General was a gentleman by the name of Philip Zeisman, right? He created the position back in 97, I believe, or 96, and it officially began, or actually Yonkers created it, and he began the position in 98. I just want to read a little bit about an article that he wrote here in regards to the Inspector General and the need for it in the city of Yonkers and other mid-sized cities. The origins of the Yonkers Inspector General can be traced back to a long and bitter dispute that took place during the mid-90s. 90s were crazy in Yonkers, between the city council and the mayor over the separation of powers. As part of its ongoing efforts to exert control over the mayor, the council passed legislation creating a council-approved city auditor position with broad investigative powers. The mayor vetoed the legislation and the council overrode the veto. Well, much different council, I see, right? The mayor then sued to stop the legislation as an unlawful curtailment of his executive power. In the interim, the mayor appointed his own auditor, who became something of a grand inquisitor, boasting that he was working with the state and federal government on major investigation involving widespread corruption throughout government here in Yonkers. However, that was a lie. The feud between the council and the mayor and the controversy over the city auditor was not resolved until the following mayoral election, when the city council president defeated his political rival, the incumbent mayor. the new mayor proposed creating the Inspector General's office, and that's how it came about, right? So I just want to talk about the role of the Inspector General so we can be clear and know exactly what it is Mr. Liam McLaughlin should be doing, but isn't doing. One of my, the gentleman goes on to say, one of my first chances to publicly address these concerns, to address the council in public, he agreed that the former city auditor had been destructive force within government and made clear that the focus of my office would be an audit and review process, not a criminal investigations. In my view, based on my previous experiences, he goes on to say, as the city's corporation counsel, Yonkers was not in pressing need yet of another level of law enforcement with jurisdiction to conduct public corruption investigation. However, the city's need for internal audit function was dramatic. In many instances, departmental procedures were antiquated, and inefficient, and operations had never been subjected to external review or evaluations. Thus, there was little objective information on how effective the city's government was in delivering municipal services. And that's a complaint that many people still have. There's not enough audits, reports. If you go on the Yonkers website and you try to find any information, a lot of the stuff is old. So it's difficult to get information. It's difficult to get any audits, budgets, and spending and all that stuff, right? But that's the role of the Inspector General. He should be doing the audits. The individual who was the Inspector General first said that he didn't want to create an investigative type of office, a law enforcement type of office. He felt more the need was for auditing the city and its various departments, which has not been done, right? So I want to read a little bit here and then I'll move on. In keeping with our focus on auditing municipal operations, the daily work of our office now evolves around two core audit functions: conducting performance reviews of governmental operations and monitoring the procurement process and auditing municipal contracts. Right. You think they do that now? I don't think so. He also goes on to say that they audit also the Yonkers public schools and all that stuff. He did a lot of this auditing, but that stuff that's not done now. How much work has actually been done by the current Yonkers Inspector General besides investigating Mike Cater? I think that's about $200,000, almost $200,000 position. They also have a deputy inspector as well. So could that money be better spent elsewhere if he is not doing his job? Right? So that's why I want to read that. And I'm going to post these articles so you can actually read the whole thing. It's actually very interesting. I think you should read it. It's very important to be informed and know exactly what's going on. Really be informed. Okay. So you can see all the BS. Okay. Because once you become informed, you start to see the BS. Right. So has Liam McLaughlin conducted any other investigations, inquiries, or audits other than the well-known and talked about quid quo pro investigation into Mike Cater? But what else has he done? What exactly? Concerns were raised in a similar fashion regarding the possible quid quo pro relationship between Rubo and AMS developers, who are also the councilman's landlord at the old trolley barn, which was purchased for $500,000 and is now worth $40 million. Look at that. What an investment. Then there's also the Chicken Island deal Rubo helped facilitate for AMS and as the chairperson of the real estate committee, yet even more circumstantial evidence than what was presented in the Mike Cater case. Yet the IG has done nothing. Rubo was never investigated, nor was there an article in the Yonkers Tribune like that published about Mike Cater. And very recently, the internet tabloid that was declared fake journalism by a Supreme Court judge published another quid quo pro article alleging Mike Breen and his wife of using his authority as councilman to enrich themselves and milk the city. Yet no quid quo pro on John Rubo. I'll tell you one in a minute. However, no word again mentioned on John Rubo, right? And also no mention of his hidden company that was only told to me by a anonymous source who I think I know who it is. I'll mention that in a second. The company is called A Perfect Solution, John Rubo Consulting Inc., with addresses to his parents' home. But what's interesting is that address was also linked to a woman who was a principal at a Catholic school and was convicted of credit card fraud. Why is that interesting? Because the company, A Perfect Solution, John Rubo Consulting Inc., is a credit card processing company. Don't know much else about that, so I won't speak about it. Anyway, AMS, John Rubel's and AMS relationship as he continues, as he votes in their favor during real estate committee meetings, right? But will Liam investigate? No, because they're buddies. And I don't know if you've seen the pictures I posted recently of the two of them at an event. That's probably why Rubo, who has been accused of far more evil wrongdoings, like having and creating a company called The Perfect Solution, John Rubo Consulting Inc., a credit card processing company that he kept hidden until I mentioned it on the show. A company that coincidentally, as I mentioned, shares an address with the woman who was convicted of credit card fraud. Now, I don't know what that to make of that. So again, I'll leave it there. But I will say that the anonymous source who texted me the information knew what they were talking about. So I think it's true. I think that the company that A Perfect Solution is a way to bypass campaign finance laws so he can get payments from developers on the low. Inspector General, are you listening? Does it matter? Right? But I did hear something today. I heard the DOG is in Yonkers. And I also heard that a few months ago when I was told that they are watching my podcast, actually. Yeah, that's a true story. That's what I was told. I don't know how true it is. So, hey, DOJ, if it is true and you guys are around, like I was told today, and like I was told that you're watching, right? I was told a few months back. Well, here you go. This is a start for you guys. You can check into that. A Perfect Solution, John Rubo Inc. Now, that was such good information that it has to be true about the campaign finance laws and wanting to get around them. I mean, it has only one employee that earns about $18,000 a year, yet they took out a PPE loan, for $89,000. Why? So what business are they doing? Why take out a PPE loan? And why didn't Zehy or Dan Murphy of the Yonkers Times write about it? Why didn't they pick it up? Hey, Dan, why haven't you mentioned that or any of this? Because you got that deal with the city? Anyway, more importantly, who sent me the text? Like a source said today, I can't believe this is still happening. Yes, it is alive and well and more brazen than ever. Yonkers corruption. So I pondered on the thought of who sent me the text and why. I knew it wasn't a resident, but this was insider information. Someone who wants John Rubo out. So again, DOJ, there you go. But who wants Rubo out so bad that they would leak the information and why? I first had to start with the why. You have to start with the why. That's the motive, and understanding motive can lead to identifying an individual. Once I began thinking of that, I knew it was about the race for mayor. Who wants the seat more than anyone? Who would know about Rubo and who would be brazen and greasy enough to make that move against someone they obviously know well? Bingo, Mr. A.B.C, Zehy Jereis. That's right. Zehy Jereis, no doubt, in my mind and in my opinion, has to be the person that sent me that anonymous information. Why? Why? It came from the number that led back to Hartford Health Center. So it was a fake number. And the only man that known to operate in that manner is Zehy Jereis. That's when I realized that Mr. A.B.C, Zehy Jereis, wants his horse to win. His horse is Nader Sayegh. Why do you think there isn't any negative articles on Nader? There was one on Breen. And while Jereis, who wants Rubo out bad, knows that Rubo will find out if Zehy were to write an article about him with quid pro quo or any of his other stuff. So he has prevented Zehy from doing so. He's not stupid. He's not stupid. John's going to find out that you're trying to bring him down on the low, Zehy, on the low, but he knows now. John, watch your back. John, watch your back. He can't do that. He can't have Zehy write an article because John knows his MO. He knows Zehy Jereis' MO, and he would know right away it's him. So, John, again, you hear that? Watch your back. You're welcome. You're welcome. Jereis knows not to make it obvious because John will expose Mr. A.B.C's hand and shut his building department operation down. What building department operation, you ask? The one that Mr. Zehy, along with the knowledge and consent of elected officials, charging people anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000 to get building permits expedited. I heard this from one source today, and I heard it from another a week ago. And in fact, there's an individual who actually made the payment, and it's documented, so it's easy to trace, right? The individual, I was called today by an individual very upset because a single mom was doing some renovations to a business and had the building department called on her. It was called on her by, or they were called on her by Councilman Rubo, according to the source. Yes, she started to work on Saturday, and by Monday, 9 a.m., there was an inspector at her business shutting her down and gave her a fine. He also gave her advice. You can get this expedited. It'll cost you $2,500. So he wrote the check, gave it to the contractor. The contractor gave it to the building inspector. Well, who's the building inspector? I know a guy named Jimmy, building inspector. He came to my business on a surprise visit, surrounded me with his goons. Didn't work out the way he thought, however, right? But she could have, so she had it expedited. She needed to get it done. She paid the $2,500. Although she had no idea she needed a permit, she thought that it didn't sound kosher. However, her contractor was given the check, who gave it to the building inspector, right? I have another case for you, Liam, another case for you. There you go. Hey, DOJ, if you're listening, there you go. Again, this isn't anything unheard of. However, it was supposed to have been taken care of after the big scandal that rocked the building department, right? I'll share the article. I had a client once actually that was having trouble getting permits for a single family home here in Yonkers, 3 years to get the permit. And the 2.5-year mark, she gave me a number of a building inspector. It was given to her by church members, right? And they said, call this guy, he'll be able to take care of it. So I said, okay. I called the guy, and they said he no longer worked there. But then they suspiciously, or with suspicion, I should say, asked me, why are you calling for him? I said, I was told he can help with some questions I had, but never mind. And I hung up. But I said, that was strange. I guess he had been fired for taking bribes, right? I didn't want no part of that. No part of that. But that's what goes on here in the building department, and it's still going on. But I thought that was going to be rectified. We have Mr. Sam Borelli in there, new building commissioner. Is he not aware of that this is happening? This is a single mom that you guys are shaking down. Shame on you. Shame on you, Rubo, for calling the building department on her. Shame on you. 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 Anyway, so will the IG look into another case involving the council member from the 4th District whose friend's sister helped him in the elections by clogging the working family line? And for that, I know how he was rewarded, the individual whose sister did that. I have the proof, undeniable. But in due time, I will let you see it. I will let you see what he was rewarded with. Well, I want to talk about the famous shakedown that took place back in 2005, again involving Mr. Zehy Jereis. So this is nothing new to Yonkers, shaking down people, nothing new. Been happening by Mr. Zehy Jereis for a while, and that is why he utilizes his role in politics to enrich himself. And he is allowed to do it. He's operating within the Democratic Party, and no one seems to care or want to stop him. And in fact, as you see in this case, some may even be working with him. That's right. So the bonchinche, the shakedown, like the single mom shaken down by a council member, I too was told that if I hired a certain architect, I would be able to have my issues resolved immediately. However, I'm not into getting shaken down. This type of thuggery seems out of character of the Councilman Rubo's repertoire, but I hear that he's been very influenced by individuals. So he's being influenced by Mr. Zehy Jereis, and I hear he's been influenced in other ways negatively by other individuals. I won't say how. I'll let you guys figure that one out. Right? Is it all to be a part of the cool kids, Rubo? Is that why you're doing this? Do you want to be in the in crowd that bad? People like Mr. A.B.C., right? Yes, where the old building department permits hustle comes from. You must pay to play. That's what Mr. A.B.C. is all about. And Rubo has learned that well. That's something that Zehy learned a long time ago, back in the day when he was chairman of the Republican Party, back when John was admittedly a Republican. Jereis was shaking them down using people who just wanted to be a part of the cool kids. What am I talking about, Freddie? I'm talking about Mr. Jereis's famous shakedown of Milio brothers, who own and operate Milio Management. You can see their properties around Yonkers as they brand them with 2 or 3 M's. There's dad and 2 sons. One is nice and the other is mean, I hear. But that still does not give the right for Mr. A.B.C. to shake them down for $30,000, according to Forbes magazine, over the Longfellow project. A little bit more history for you guys. I recently came across an article written in the Forbes magazine about Sandy Anabi, the former Yonkers City Council woman for the 2nd District. Now listen, and who also served as majority leader. Folks, do you see a pattern here? Sandy Anabi, a sweetheart, but naive, according to sources, to the pitfalls and con artists associated with politics, was easily manipulated by Jereis. However, nothing changes. Ain't that right, Miss Freeman? Who on the advice of Jereis is now known as Majority Leader Diaz. Be careful, history does repeat itself. Going back to Milio Management and their Longfellow project, an area of land that they wanted to redevelop back in 2003. According, however, Anabi wasn't having it. Forbes article described her as a beacon of light in the darkness of politics, highly principled and a dedicated civil servant. When Anabi heard about the Longfellow project, she, quote, dug her heels in, unquote, calling the plan outrageous. Back in June 14th of 2005 at a city council meeting where she also said, or where she spoke out about it, she also said it was a slap in the face to the taxpayers of Yonkers. But was that how she really felt? The Yonkers GOP, Zehy Jereis, was contacted as she kept, giving resistance to this project, the Milio Management. They then contacted their attorney, a gentleman by the name of Anthony Mangone, who then contacted Yonkers GOP head Zehy Jereis, and he explained the problem. He said, we got a little problem here, A.B.C., right? Zehy, who backed Anabi the same way he does our current majority leader and others, according to sources, from candidates themselves, because they do mention it, that he is their campaign manager, or at least his son and his company, went to Anabi to talk about the next phase of the shakedown. See, that was a whole game. First, you act like you don't want to do it. No, that's a slap in the face to the taxpayers. No way. I'm not going to let you guys do that. You greedy developers. And then you make a deal. So Zehy went to Anabi and talked about the next phase of the plan. He told her that he would go back to Mangone and request some money. And that's what he did. Mangone then went back to Milio Management. $30,000 was going to get the deal done. $30,000. That's right. So they paid because they wanted to get the deal done. They already had started the project and did not want to lose money or let the deal go to crap. So they paid. Zehy, I believe, Mangone may have gotten $10,000 because I believe $20,000, according to the article, went to Anabi. It eventually all came to light after the Ridge Hill scandal, which found the former majority leader and Yonkers GOP chair in handcuffs and in front of a federal judge where they would be convicted of political corruption for accepting the bribes. So was Anabi innocent? Was she a naive woman who was played by Mr. A.B.C.? I'm not so sure. Although Mr. A.B.C., I'm sure, didn't tell her everything. After serving 4 years, he once again found himself back in Yonkers politics, this time as a Democrat. You can read all about it in the Yonkers Times. There's an article there that talks about the return of Zehy Jereis to Yonkers politics. It also spoke about the campaign for Dan Romano, who won and now is a city court judge here in Yonkers. Dan Romano, like Ada Medina, city court judge, hired Zehy Jereis to run his campaign. Why people hired this man after this history of political corruption? Because people just care about winning. That is all, and that is it. And that was a shakedown there. A very famous shakedown that made headlines, was in the Forbes magazine, as you can see there, Low HUD, New York Times. You can find it all online. That was all a game. And the shakedowns still continue to this day as Mr. A.B.C. continues to operate in our political system here. No one's stopping him. And he continues to run campaigns for candidates that he will then control. That is the game. You put your horse in the race, you control the horse makes you money. So be careful to the new majority leader, because it sounds very similar to situation you are finding yourself in. That's my history lesson for now. I will be back with some more history lesson. But before I go, I do want to talk about one thing. And this has to do with a recent post that I posted, but also a recent post that I read in regards to a juggling program that they have in one of the Yonkers schools here, one of the middle schools, I believe. It's a hip hop juggling program, and it's supposed to teach kids social skills using juggling. Black and brown kids. What are we, clowns? I made the comment because I'm going to speak on it. We're not clowns. And I understand that maybe you're trying to do a good thing, but really, juggling? Mimi Roca recently spoke with the Yonkers NAACP. They spoke about a lack of Black Americans within the Westchester County District Attorney's Office. There's only 4 Black males, 4%, and about, I think it was 15 Black females, which represented about 10%. And that they were really working hard to try to increase the number of Black Americans that were in the Westchester District Attorney's Office, that worked for there, that were prosecutors. Well, here's an idea. Why don't you teach the kids social skills while you teach them law? Do mock trials. Teach them how to speak in public speaking in front of other people, articulate themselves well, how to resolve issues, how to make an argument without becoming aggressive or violent or physical. It's so much you can do with that. And guess what? That may spark an interest in law. That may encourage more Black and brown kids to become prosecutors or other attorneys, lawyers, or whatever, but not clowns. Yonkers Youth Bureau, this is your idea? You can hate me or be mad at me for being critical of it, but I'm sorry. You're not going to see Jewish kids being put into this program. You're not going to see white kids being put into this program. And I'm not trying to make this about race, but it seems like, what are we getting here? I mean, really? Juggling? How does that teach social skills? What if they're busy getting hit in the head with a pin? So apparently someone had an issue, took issue with that, member of the youth board, and threatened to sue me for defamation. And also tried to tell me that the picture that I took from Facebook, I was not given permission to use it, although it's public domain. And once you put anything on Facebook, Facebook owns it, not you. Facebook, they have to sue me. So see, this is why it's important that we teach kids law. That way they can understand what defamation is, what public and private domains are. I was a kid that grew up very poor in Yonkers, Southwest Side, born in a jail, had every struggle, every obstacle you could name. And by the grace of God, I managed to be in a much better place in life today. It wasn't because I was juggling. I didn't learn how to articulate myself by juggling. I never wanted to be a clown. And I don't think that that is the most effective way to teach social skills. It's not. I mean, seriously. We have to teach these kids to break the cycle of poverty. And how do we do that? How do you go from being on welfare in a single family home, witnessing violence, drug addiction, rats and roaches, no food, living in a motel, shelter, to owning several businesses? How do you do that? By teaching kids how to juggle? I've been trying to make contact with the city of Yonkers for quite some time now to share my ideas. And for some reason, I get a lot of resistance. However, other individuals seem to just get put into all of these organizations, all of these things. I don't get it. Are we really trying to make a difference here? It's ridiculous. I'm offended by it. As a Hispanic, I'm offended by it. And you can say whatever you want about me. I don't care. I don't really care. Because none of you make or break me. Never will. Never will. And that's what I've made made for myself in this life. So, and I want to teach other kids to do that. I want to teach kids how to break the cycle of poverty, give them the real skills, show them how to do it, the path, put them on a path to success. Not teach them how to juggle so they can be clowns, gestures, right? To entertain the kings and queens. I want them to be kings and queens. Either way, I'm going to do it, with or without you. It may take longer, but I will do it. And I would love for the Yonkers Youth Bureau or any other youth program, things out here to reach out to me, because I have some ideas, okay? And I think they would, be beneficial. I don't want you to pay me. I'm not looking for you to give me money. I don't want no money. I'm volunteering my time. Because, we need some better ideas. Need better ideas. Juggling. Unbelievable. I am Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics, and I will always speak my mind. If you don't like it, I apologize. That's the best I can do. For those who do like it, thank you. I appreciate it. It's usually the people that are real too. We get along better. People who speak their mind as well. So, and I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to continue to do that because this is ridiculous. So it's just, time to step it up. Time to step it up, Yonkers. Juggling? Unbelievable, yeah.
Let's get it popping.
I am Freddie Vasquez. This was Basement Politics Unfiltered. Political history of corruption here in the city of Yonkers. I'm going to continue to talk about what's wrong with the city. And unfortunately, when you do that, it's negative. But hopefully we'll get to a place where we can talk more positive. All I'm trying to do is positive things here in the community, help individuals the best I can, make some change, the change that I hear so much about that people want, right? But how do we do that? Well, it's not by juggling, that's for sure. You want these kids to break the cycle of poverty? Well, you need people who've actually done it. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy. It's a lot of work, but it has to be taught by those who have been through it. I am Freddie Vasquez. I will see you tomorrow for my Friday night weekend review. I think it's a great idea, right? Why not teach social skills using law? I mean, yeah, you're not going to find that in Scarsdale. Them parents would be damned if their kids have been some juggling class looking like some clowns, okay? And we've been talking about Asian Americans. Asian Americans are not putting their kids into no juggling class, okay? And Asian Americans, as well as Jewish Americans, have done very well. Small group, but have done very well. And I want my people to do just that. Well, I want everybody to do well. But we can't give crap to certain individuals in certain sides of town. That's crap. And I'll say it all day. You can sue me for defamation if you want.
Ready wins.
That's right.
Fatality.
Sue me.
Ready wins. Fatality.
One more time.
Ready wins.
Yonkers, I love you. I do this for you guys. Appreciate the support. Thank you. Thank you to everyone that's been watching. I appreciate it. I love the support. I love you back. I get nothing from this. I actually get flack. So I'm going to continue to do it because I truly believe in all of you. Those who want change, those who support this. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Let's keep going. Good night. I'll see you tomorrow.
Ready wins. Fatality.
Oh, and by the way, you could put whatever you want about me out there. I really don't care. Okay? Say whatever you think people are going to want to hear about me. I really don't care.
Ready wins. Fatality. Game over.